The alarm clock screams. It's 6 a.m., another Monday morning. I hit snooze, already feeling the weight of the day pressing down on me. The commute is a blur of traffic frustration and the sinking feeling that I'm wasting precious hours of my life. I arrive at the office, just another face in the crowd, another cog in the machine. The fluorescent lights hum, a constant reminder of the monotony that defines my existence. Emails pile up, meetings drag on, and deadlines loom. The work itself isn't terrible, but it's not inspiring either. It's just a job, a means to an end, a way to pay the bills. Days bleed into weeks, weeks into months, and months into years. This is my life now. The golden handcuffs of a steady paycheck and health insurance have me trapped. Deep down, a voice whispers, "Is this it? Is this all there is?" I silence the voice with thoughts of bills, responsibilities, and the fear of the unknown. One evening, scrolling through social media, I stumble upon a video. A young man not much older than me is talking about passive income and time freedom. He speaks with a passion that ignites something within me. He talks about building businesses, investing wisely, and designing a life on his own terms. Could this be the answer I've been searching for? Could I break free from the shackles of my 9-to-5 and create a life of purpose and freedom? Doubt creeps in. I'm not an entrepreneur, I tell myself. I don't have any special skills or a trust fund to fall back on, but the seed has been planted. I start researching, devouring books, blogs, and podcasts about passive income and online business. I learn about affiliate marketing, digital products, real estate investing, and the power of building an audience online. The more I learn, the more I realize that this isn't just some get-rich-quick scheme. It's about taking control of my time, my income, and my life. The fear is still there, but it's overshadowed by a growing sense of determination. I decide to take the first step. I won't quit my job just yet, not until I have something else lined up. But I will dedicate every spare moment to learning and building. I start waking up early, before the sun rises, to work on my side hustle. I spend my lunch breaks learning new skills and connecting with other entrepreneurs online. Evenings and weekends are no longer for Netflix and takeout, they're for building my future. It's not easy juggling a full-time job and a budding side hustle. There are sacrifices, late nights, and moments of doubt, but the thought of living a life of freedom, purpose, and financial security keeps me going. This is my story. The story of how I escaped the soul-crushing monotony of a 9-to-5 job and built a life of freedom and purpose through the power of passive income. It wasn't easy, but it was worth every sacrifice. If you're feeling trapped, unfulfilled, and yearning for more, I want you to know that there's another way. It starts with a decision to take control of your life and build a future on your own terms. The weight of the world seemed to press down on me that Tuesday morning. It wasn't a specific event, but rather the culmination of countless days that felt exactly the same. The monotonous routine, the soul-crushing commute, the endless emails. It all finally reached a boiling point. I remember staring out the window of my office, watching the world go by below. People hurried along the sidewalks, their faces etched with a mixture of determination and resignation. Was this what my life had become? A predictable, monotonous cycle of work, eat, sleep, repeat? The realization hit me like a ton of bricks. Something had to change. The more I thought about it, the more I realized how deeply unhappy I was. The job, once a symbol of stability and success, now felt like a gilded cage. It provided a comfortable income, yes, but at what cost? I was trading my most precious resource, time, for a paycheck that barely covered my expenses. And for what? To build someone else's dream, to line the pockets of shareholders I'd never met. The thought filled me with a sense of emptiness. I wasn't building a legacy, I was building someone else's. I was a small cog in a giant machine, my contributions ultimately meaningless in the grand scheme of things. The realization was both terrifying and liberating. Terrifying because it forced me to confront the harsh reality of my situation. Liberating because it ignited a spark of defiance within me. I craved something more, something meaningful, something that truly mattered. The seeds of discontent had been sown long ago, I realized. I recalled moments of fleeting joy, evenings spent pursuing hobbies, weekends exploring new places, the thrill of learning a new skill. These moments, however brief, reminded me of what it felt like to be truly alive, to be driven by passion rather than obligation. But these moments were becoming increasingly rare, overshadowed by the demands of my job. I was constantly tired, drained of energy and motivation. The things I once enjoyed now felt like chores, squeezed into the few precious hours I had to myself. I envied those who seemed to have it figured out, those who were living life on their own terms. The turning point came unexpectedly. I was scrolling through social media, mindlessly scrolling past vacation photos and political rants, when a quote stopped me in my tracks. It simply read, "Don't work for money, make money work for you." The words hit me with the force of a revelation. It was so simple, yet so profound. I had spent my entire adult life operating under the assumption that working for someone else was the only way to achieve financial security. But what if there was another way, a way to break free from the traditional 9-to-5 grind and build a life of freedom and abundance? The idea was both exhilarating and terrifying. Exhilarating because it offered a glimmer of hope, a chance to escape the soul-crushing monotony of my current existence. Terrifying because it meant stepping outside my comfort zone, challenging everything I thought I knew about work and success. The quote sparked a fire within me, igniting a thirst for knowledge I hadn't felt in years. I devoured every book, article, and podcast I could find on financial freedom, passive income, and entrepreneurship. The more I learned, the more I realized how little I actually knew. I discovered a whole new world of possibilities, of people who had successfully escaped the rat race and built lives of purpose and abundance on their own terms. I learned about the power of passive income, of creating assets that generate income even while you sleep. For the first time in a long time, I felt a sense of hope, a belief that a different future was possible. But knowledge without action is meaningless. I knew that I couldn't simply read about success. I had to create it. I began to actively seek out mentors and role models, people who had already achieved the kind of freedom I craved. I attended webinars, joined online communities, and reached out to successful entrepreneurs, eager to learn from their experiences. I absorbed their advice like a sponge, taking copious notes and asking endless questions. I was no longer content with simply dreaming of a different life. I was actively building it, brick by brick, with each new piece of knowledge, each new connection, each step outside my comfort zone. The concept of passive income was both intriguing and initially overwhelming. It seemed almost too good to be true, the idea that you could earn money without actively trading your time for it. But as I delved deeper, I realized that passive income wasn't about getting rich quick. It was about building sustainable income streams that could generate wealth over time. There were so many different avenues to explore: affiliate marketing, online courses, ebooks, real estate, dividend investing, and more. I spent hours each night after my draining 9-to-5 glued to my laptop screen. I devoured blog posts, listened to podcasts, and watched countless YouTube videos, each offering a different perspective on building passive income streams. The more I learned, the more I realized that passive income wasn't a one-size-fits-all solution. It required careful planning, strategic execution, and a willingness to put in the work up front to reap the rewards later. The world of digital assets particularly piqued my interest. The idea of creating something once and selling it repeatedly online was incredibly appealing. It felt like a scalable and accessible way to build a passive income stream without the overhead and logistics of traditional businesses. I started exploring the world of ebooks, fascinated by the idea of packaging my knowledge and experiences into a digital product that could help others. I envisioned writing guides on topics I was passionate about, providing value to readers while generating passive income. Affiliate marketing also caught my eye. The concept of partnering with existing businesses and earning a commission for promoting their products felt like a win-win situation. The beauty of digital assets was their flexibility. I could work on them from anywhere with an internet connection, fitting them into the nooks and crannies of my busy schedule. It was empowering to know that I was building something tangible, something that could potentially generate income even while I slept. While digital assets held a strong appeal, I knew it was wise to diversify my income streams. Real estate, with its potential for long-term appreciation and cash flow, seemed like a solid option to explore. I envisioned owning rental properties, generating passive income from monthly rent payments while building equity over time. The idea of being a hands-off landlord wasn't as appealing, but I learned about property management companies that could handle the day-to-day operations, allowing me to enjoy the benefits of real estate investing without the hassle. Beyond real estate, I explored other avenues like dividend investing, where I could earn passive income from owning shares in established companies. The world of passive income was vast and varied, offering a multitude of options to suit different interests, risk tolerances, and financial goals. As I delved deeper into the world of passive income, I quickly realized that time was my most valuable asset. Juggling a full-time job and a burgeoning side hustle required meticulous time management and a willingness to make sacrifices. Gone were the days of mindless scrolling through social media or binge-watching TV shows. Every free moment became an opportunity to learn, to build, to connect. I started waking up earlier, utilizing my lunch breaks effectively, and dedicating my evenings and weekends to my side hustle. I knew that every hour I invested in building my passive income streams was an hour closer to achieving my dream of financial freedom and time freedom. With so many potential avenues for passive income, it was easy to feel overwhelmed and unsure where to focus my energy. I realized the importance of finding my niche, identifying areas where my passions, skills, and market demand intersected. I reflected on my strengths, my interests, and the problems I could solve for others. I brainstormed ideas, jotting down every thought, no matter how crazy or far-fetched it seemed. I researched different markets, analyzing trends, identifying gaps, and looking for opportunities where I could add value. Finding my niche wasn't about limiting myself, it was about channeling my energy and resources into areas where I could make the biggest impact and build sustainable income streams that aligned with my passions. While I had big dreams of financial freedom and a life designed on my own terms, I knew that I couldn't achieve everything overnight. It was about starting small, taking incremental steps, and celebrating every milestone along the way. I resisted the urge to chase shiny objects or jump from one opportunity to another. Instead, I focused on building a solid foundation, developing essential skills, and gaining experience in my chosen niche. I started with small, achievable goals, breaking down larger tasks into manageable chunks. I celebrated every win, no matter how small, using it as fuel to keep moving forward. I embraced the learning process, knowing that mistakes were inevitable but valuable lessons could be learned from each setback. Starting small didn't mean thinking small. It was about being strategic, managing my expectations, and building momentum gradually. It was about proving to myself that I could achieve my goals one step at a time. As I embarked on my journey toward passive income and time freedom, I quickly realized that consistency was key. It wasn't about sporadic bursts of effort, but rather about showing up day after day, even when I didn't feel like it. I established daily and weekly routines, incorporating my side hustle into my schedule as non-negotiable appointments. I set realistic goals and held myself accountable, tracking my progress and making adjustments as needed. There were days when motivation waned, when the allure of the couch and a good TV show was hard to resist. But I reminded myself of my why, of the life I was building, of the freedom I craved. I knew that consistency, even in small doses, would compound over time, leading to significant results. Building passive income streams wasn't a sprint, it was a marathon, and like any marathon, it required endurance, perseverance, and an unwavering belief in myself and my vision. With newfound knowledge and a burning desire for change, I began building my side hustle while still working my 9 to 5. It was a delicate balancing act, like constructing a ship while sailing on it. My days were still consumed by the demands of my job, but my evenings and weekends became sacred, dedicated to laying the foundation for my future. The initial steps were both exciting and terrifying. I felt a surge of adrenaline every time I hit publish on a blog post, launched a new landing page, or sent out an email to my tiny subscriber list. Each action, no matter how small, felt like a victory, a tangible step towards building something of my own. I vividly remember the long nights hunched over my laptop, the blue light casting an ethereal glow on my face. I devoured online tutorials, learned the intricacies of website design, and fumbled my way through social media marketing. It was a steep learning curve, but I was driven by a hunger for knowledge and a refusal to let fear hold me back. Every spare moment was an opportunity to learn, to build, to connect. I listened to podcasts during my commute, read business books during my lunch break, and networked with other entrepreneurs online late into the night. It was exhausting, exhilarating, and utterly addictive. The more I learned, the more empowered I felt, like I was unlocking a secret code to a life I never thought possible. The first dollar I earned from my side hustle was more satisfying than any paycheck I'd ever received. It wasn't much, just a few cents from an affiliate sale, but it felt like validation that I was on the right track. It was proof that I could create value, that people were willing to pay for what I had to offer. I remember refreshing my affiliate dashboard obsessively, watching the numbers tick up slowly but surely. Each sale, no matter how small, felt like a personal triumph. I celebrated each milestone, from my first $10 day to my first $100 month, using it as fuel to keep going, to keep learning, to keep building. The early days were a whirlwind of experimentation. I tried different passive income strategies, tested various marketing tactics, and learned to adapt quickly to the ever-changing online landscape. There were setbacks, of course, times when my efforts seemed to yield little to no results, but I refused to give up. I reminded myself that success was a journey, not a destination. I embraced the challenges, knowing that each obstacle overcome, each lesson learned, was bringing me one step closer to my goal of financial freedom and a life designed on my own terms. The thrill of building something from scratch, of seeing my efforts translate into tangible results, was intoxicating. As my side hustle gained traction, I began to focus on scaling up my efforts. I invested in courses and coaching programs, seeking guidance from experienced entrepreneurs who had already achieved the level of success I aspired to. I learned the importance of building an email list, creating valuable content that resonated with my target audience, and leveraging social media to connect with potential customers. I experimented with different traffic generation strategies, from search engine optimization to paid advertising, constantly analyzing my results and refining my approach. It was like leveling up in a video game, each new skill acquired, each new strategy mastered, unlocking new possibilities and propelling me further along my journey. I learned to delegate tasks that were draining my time and energy, freeing myself up to focus on higher-level activities that would move the needle forward. The more I learned, the more I realized how much more there was to know. The world of online business was vast and constantly evolving, requiring a commitment to lifelong learning and a willingness to adapt to change. But I was hooked. The challenges only fueled my determination, the successes fueled my passion, and the constant growth fueled my excitement for the future I was building. Gradually, over time, my side hustle began to generate a consistent stream of passive income. What started as a trickle had transformed into a steady flow, providing a welcome supplement to my 9 to 5 income. The feeling of financial security, of knowing that I had multiple streams of income flowing in, was incredibly empowering. I used the extra income to pay down debt, invest in my education and business, and create a financial cushion that allowed me to breathe a little easier. For the first time in a long time, I wasn't living paycheck to paycheck. I had options, choices, and a growing sense of freedom. The best part, the income was largely passive. I had created assets that were working for me 24/7, generating revenue even while I slept, worked my day job, or enjoyed my weekends. It was the ultimate form of leverage, allowing me to multiply my time and efforts exponentially. The more passive income I generated, the more I realized that this wasn't just about the money. It was about the freedom it provided, the flexibility to design my life on my own terms, and the peace of mind that came with knowing I was in control of my financial future. Building a side hustle while working a full-time job was no easy feat. It required discipline, sacrifice, and a relentless commitment to my goals. There were times when I felt overwhelmed, exhausted, and ready to give up. But I always found a way to push through, fueled by the vision of my future self, living a life of freedom and purpose. Time management became my superpower. I learned to maximize every minute of my day, waking up early, utilizing my lunch breaks effectively, and dedicating my evenings and weekends to my side hustle. I became a master of multitasking, juggling work projects, side hustle tasks, and personal responsibilities with a precision that would make a circus performer proud. It wasn't always easy, but I found ways to make it work. I relied on the support of my loved ones, who understood my vision and encouraged me to pursue my dreams. I learned to prioritize self-care, knowing that I couldn't pour from an empty cup. And I celebrated every victory, no matter how small, using it as fuel to keep going. The balancing act was challenging, but it was also incredibly rewarding. It taught me the importance of perseverance, resilience, and the power of unwavering belief in myself and my vision. The journey to passive income and time freedom wasn't without its sacrifices. There were countless social events I declined, nights out with friends I skipped, and weekends spent working while others played. But I knew that I was playing the long game, delaying gratification in the present to create a brighter future. I missed out on some things, yes, but I gained so much more in return. I discovered a level of discipline and work ethic I never knew I possessed. I developed valuable skills and knowledge that would serve me for a lifetime, and I built a business that provided me with both financial security and the freedom to live life on my own terms. The sacrifices were worth it, not because the end goal was more important than the present moment, but because I was investing in myself, in my future, and in a life that aligned with my values and aspirations. It was a conscious choice, a deliberate decision to prioritize long-term fulfillment over short-term pleasure. The journey taught me the true meaning of delayed gratification, the power of perseverance, and the incredible rewards that come from pursuing a dream with unwavering passion and commitment. Months of relentless effort began to yield increasingly impressive results. My passive income streams, once just trickles, were gaining momentum, growing into steady rivers of recurring revenue. The satisfaction of seeing my bank account grow not from trading hours for dollars, but from the assets I had built, was exhilarating. It was a slow and steady climb, each month surpassing the last. The fear of failure, which had once loomed large, began to recede, replaced by a quiet confidence in my abilities and the systems I had put in place. This newfound financial security wasn't about extravagance, it was about peace of mind. I distinctly remember the moment my passive income surpassed my monthly expenses. It was a quiet Tuesday evening and I was reviewing my finances, as had become my nightly ritual. The reality sunk in slowly like a warm wave washing over me. I had done it. I had achieved what many considered a pipe dream. This wasn't just about quitting my job, it was about proving to myself that an alternative path was possible, that financial freedom wasn't a privilege reserved for the wealthy or the lucky. It was a testament to the power of hard work, perseverance, and a relentless belief in the possibility of a different future. The realization that I could potentially sustain myself solely on my passive income was both liberating and terrifying. It was a life raft I had painstakingly built, now bobbing beside the ship I had always known. Could I trust it to carry me? Did I have the courage to let go of the familiar, of the perceived safety of a steady paycheck? The thought of leaving my 9-to-5, the job that had defined my adult life for so long, filled me with a mix of excitement and trepidation. It was a comfortable cage, predictable and safe, but it was still a cage nonetheless. Could I really walk away from the security it offered, from the social connections, from the familiar routine? The answer, I realized, was a resounding yes. The fear was still there, but it was dwarfed by a growing sense of purpose and possibility. I had tasted freedom, experienced the satisfaction of building something from scratch, and I craved more. The allure of designing my own schedule, of working on projects that ignited my passion, of having the flexibility to travel and spend time with loved ones, was too strong to ignore. The 9-to-5 had served its purpose, providing stability and valuable experience, but it no longer aligned with the life I envisioned for myself. It was time to embrace the unknown, to step into the driver's seat of my own destiny. The decision to quit my job wasn't one I took lightly. I sought guidance from mentors, confided in trusted friends and family, and spent countless hours reflecting on my goals, values, and aspirations. Their advice was invaluable, offering different perspectives and insights that helped me gain clarity. Some urged caution, advising me to build a larger financial buffer before taking such a risk. Others cheered me on, reminding me of my drive, determination, and the incredible progress I had already made. I listened intently, weighing each piece of advice carefully, but knowing that ultimately the decision rested solely on my shoulders. It was a period of intense introspection, of quiet contemplation and honest self-assessment. I had to confront my fears, acknowledge my doubts, and silence the voice of self-sabotage that whispered insidious what-ifs in the dead of night. But through it all, a deep-seated intuition, a quiet knowing, told me that it was time to take the leap. It wasn't about having all the answers, but rather about trusting my instincts, believing in my ability to figure it out as I went along. It was about embracing the unknown, knowing that even if I stumbled, even if I failed, I would learn and grow from the experience. The decision to quit my job wasn't a sudden epiphany, but rather a gradual awakening, a slow-burning fire that had been ignited months earlier and was now raging within me. It was time to stop dreaming about freedom and start living it. I knew that staying at my job, even with the financial security it provided, would be a disservice to myself, a betrayal of the hard work and sacrifices I had made. It would be like settling for a black and white version of life when I had discovered the vibrant spectrum of colors that awaited me. There was a whole world out there, filled with opportunities for growth, adventure, and fulfillment. I was done living a life of quiet desperation, of sacrificing my dreams on the altar of perceived stability. I was ready to embrace the uncertainty, to chase my passions, and to create a life that reflected my values and aspirations. It was time to break free. The weight of the decision pressed upon me, a mixture of exhilaration and trepidation swirling within. The moment of truth had arrived. It was time to inform my boss. I practiced the words in my head, each repetition chipping away at the knot of anxiety in my stomach. Walking into his office felt surreal, like stepping onto a stage set for a life-altering performance. My boss, a man who embodied the corporate ladder climb, looked up from his paperwork, a flicker of surprise crossing his face. I took a deep breath and spoke, the words tumbling out with a nervous energy I couldn't quite mask. "I'm resigning," I said, the word hanging in the air between us. "I've decided to pursue other opportunities." The look on his face was a mixture of confusion and disbelief. He launched into the predictable questions, the well-rehearsed script of corporate retention. "Is it about the money? Are you unhappy here? We can match any offer you've received." I calmly explained that this wasn't a decision made lightly, nor was it a reflection of any dissatisfaction with the company. This was about me, about pursuing a different path, about aligning my work with my passions. The words felt strange, foreign even, yet incredibly liberating. News of my departure spread through the office like wildfire. The reactions were a mixed bag of curiosity, envy, and thinly veiled skepticism. Some colleagues, their faces etched with the same weariness I had once felt, bombarded me with questions, eager for details on my escape plan. How did you do it? Are you starting your own business? Can I pick your brain sometime? Others, their expressions a mix of disbelief and resentment, dismissed my decision as foolish and irresponsible. You're giving up a secure job in this economy. You'll be back, they scoffed, their words laced with a strange mix of envy and schadenfreude. I understood their reactions, their skepticism a reflection of their own unfulfilled desires, their fear of the unknown masquerading as practicality. But there were a few, those who had glimpsed the spark of something different within me, who offered genuine congratulations and words of encouragement. They had witnessed my late nights, my relentless pursuit of knowledge, my unwavering belief in a different future. Their support, however unexpected, meant the world to me. Leaving the office that last day was surreal. The weight of countless hours of meetings and deadlines, of unfulfilled potential lifted from my shoulders. I was walking away from a job, yes, but more importantly, I was walking towards myself. The early days of post-corporate life were a blissful blur of rediscovering forgotten passions and exploring new horizons. The alarm clock that had once been a dreaded adversary was now a distant memory replaced by the gentle rhythms of my own internal clock. Mornings began with leisurely cups of coffee and quiet contemplation, the only deadlines self-imposed and fueled by passion, not pressure. My days were no longer dictated by the demands of a corporate calendar, but by the ebb and flow of my own creative energy. Work, once a source of stress and obligation, transformed into a joyful pursuit. I poured my heart and soul into building my online businesses, the lines between work and play delightfully blurred. The satisfaction of seeing my efforts translate into tangible results, of creating something valuable from scratch, was deeply fulfilling. But freedom, I soon discovered, wasn't just about working less, it was about living more intentionally. I had the flexibility to travel, to spend precious time with loved ones, to pursue hobbies and interests that had long been relegated to the back burner. Life was no longer a series of compartmentalized boxes, but an interconnected tapestry of experiences, each thread woven together with intention and gratitude. Looking back, I realized that quitting my 9-to-5 wasn't about escaping the workforce, but about reclaiming my time, my energy, and my power to choose. It was about taking ownership of my life and designing a future that reflected my values, passions, and aspirations. The journey wasn't always easy. There were moments of doubt, setbacks, and the inevitable learning curves that come with any new endeavor. But through it all, I learned to embrace the uncertainty, to view challenges as opportunities for growth, and to celebrate every victory, no matter how small. To anyone feeling trapped, unfulfilled, or yearning for more, I urge you to explore the possibilities that lie beyond the traditional 9-to-5 grind. The internet has democratized access to knowledge, tools, and resources, making it easier than ever to build a business, create passive income streams, and design a life on your own terms. Start by identifying your passions, your skills, and the problems you're uniquely equipped to solve. Educate yourself, seek out mentors, and connect with like-minded individuals who inspire and support you. Take small, consistent actions, celebrate your wins, and embrace the inevitable setbacks as valuable learning experiences. Remember, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Take that step today and never stop exploring the boundless possibilities that await you. Freedom, both financial and personal, is within your reach. Believe in yourself, trust the process, and embrace the journey.